First practice later this week. I mean, what's your gut feeling? What's your feel on this team?
I'm excited. I mean, it's always a new opportunity, and just telling the guys there's a few minutes ago, I'm excited. Just it's a different opportunity even for me, so I'm really excited and looking forward to this team. I think they've worked, even since January. I think our team's worked extremely hard. I think they're really into what we're doing. I think they're into what they want to get done. And, I'm excited about it.
Coach, you told us what your expectations were back in the spring for these guys as you wrapped up and said, this is what I expect from you guys moving forward in the summertime. As you get ready to start that first practice, is there a message or some sort of tone you want to set with these guys that you want to impart to them, as you get ready to start?
I don't know that there's a message. I think our guys have made the message. Chad, I think the work habits from waking up in the mornings, we talked about spring ball, and still you watch some of those cut-ups and the weather we went through, the cold, the dark, and the rain, and every morning, and lifting all, we had 6 games basically every day for 3 months. So I think there was a tone set there by our team, and I think it's carried over. I think they want to be good. And, if you want to do that, you have a chance. And I've just seen enough of them through the offices this summer, and just their attitudes. I think they want to be a good football team.
What area is your biggest concern on paper right now?
Well, we're, in all fairness, we're still a young team. I think we have 4 seniors on defense, 8 on offense, and Ben Nowicki at the punting position. So we're really a relatively young team. The other side of that is that even though that group is relatively young, a lot of them all played. When you start looking down the depth charts, it's kind of a little bit refreshing because you sit and look, well, that guy's been in the game, that guy's been in the game. It wasn't a bunch of fun a year ago, but it'll be better this time around. And, I think our guys, again, I think the depth thing helps us. But again, we have to be careful. We're still a relatively young football team. I mean, even on offense, you look at the seniors, you got 3 of them at tailback and 3 of them at wide receiver. So that's 2 positions that basically hold 6 of the seniors. And, so, as you look, it's not very well dispersed per se as far as experience everywhere else. So, but I think as a whole, I think, I don't know that I have any concern is a good word. Again, I think probably just as a whole, we have to be really smart, I think, is how we approach summer camp because of, again, I don't think we're a veteran football team. We've had a lot of guys have had some experience. So I think as a whole, that is a little bit of where we are. We're a little bit, we could be a little bit fragile mentally because of those young guys. And again, a tough season a year ago. But their work ethic has been, I think, tremendous. Really, I think, you'll see our offensive linemen, you'll come to practice and look at them, and you'll see a slimmed up, in shape looking group. You'll physically look at them and think, wow, those guys should change their bodies. It's just visual. You don't have to sit, you didn't have to be at any workouts or anything. Just, if they walked in here, you would say, okay, I don't think where they really worked. So I think that's good.
When you mix that game-tested mentality, those guys have been in games you mentioned, when you mix that with their youth, their hunger to want to play, get opportunities, what is that? What is
huge,
that?
Chad, you're right on the money. I mean, you're talking about a young group that wants it to change. I think they're fully aware of they're the ones that are going to have to change it, and I think they've worked like crazy since we started last spring. And all those 6 a.m. morning workouts and waking up at 5 to get here, and, they bought right into it. I mean, didn't bat an eye. And, I think for the most part, our guys, that youthfulness and that we haven't been picked very high by anyone, and I think our guys are very hungry to go be good players. That gives you a chance. So I think that's a huge part. I think you're right on it. I think that's what we'll see out of this group.
Do you think they used that, the fact that they weren't picked very high and those kind of things, and a lot of people maybe are expecting something? Do you think they're going to use that underdog role as a motivating factor?
Oh, I don't know that the role. I just think that there's a point where I think we're all competitive, and basically, they've said you're not good enough. I think that's. I think if you're a young group or you have any competitiveness about you whatsoever, it affects you a little bit. Now, there's a line where that stops, and that gets you so far. It's good for a few minutes in a game. The reality is you have to become a good player, a good team, a good unit on offense, a good defense, and special teams. But I don't think there's anybody that's competitive in any field, no matter what they do, that doesn't want to be ranked first. And when you're not, then you think you have something to prove. Again, that lasts for a little while, then you have to flat go to work and be a good player, a good team. So, yeah, I think some of it, but to say that that's going to carry us to be, where we want to be, that'll be part of it.
John, Brandon's the guy. How comfortable are you with the guys behind him?
Well, they're young. They're just, again, you're talking about those other guys. I mean, it's the same thing. Dalen's been in some games. Mark's been a guy that has done a tremendous job. I mean, he's just, you go back and watch the film of those guys, and they do some good things. They're not as experienced as Brandon. They can't do all the things that he can do. But those guys can, they're sharp guys. They're a little bit different. Mark doesn't make very many mistakes whatsoever. Knows where he's going with things. Dalen is a guy that can get himself out of some troubles if he doesn't make the right move. So they're different guys, but we've got to do a great job this summer of getting that as many reps. We got a good young guy coming in. With young rookie will be a guy that's coming in that's got a chance. So we'll see how he does.
John, I know they don't report till tomorrow, but is there anybody that you know that's not coming back from last year?
We lost Rashawn Simons, has left, decided to go back home, and was okay eligibility-wise, and just had a lot of things going on, I think, in his world, and just chose to go handle those. We have a couple guys that are still have to get through summer school here through Friday, or that they'll need to do well in summer school to continue to be part of it. I think that's about it. Jarvis will not, was granted a year, but will not come back after going through all of the process, training and all that stuff. Went back and did his checkup, and they just feel like it's best that he does not play. Still dealing with some issues with his injury. So even though we got his year back, he's a guy that now we've had to go and put on a medical year, and he will not have a senior season. So it's kind of a disappointing thing for him. I mean, it's awful to see a young guy that got his year back, feeling okay, and then it's not in his best interest to keep playing. So I think that's about it. Really, it's been a pretty solid off season. Again, one guy chose and he was doing fine. But he's got some things he's working on in his own world. And has left the window to maybe come, he has another year, Sean has another year, could come back at the end of the semester. So we'll try to solve some personal things there, some family issues, and then we'll see what happens.
You have one transfer, Sir DeMarco Bledsoe. Talk about him, and then part two, do you expect any more?
Well, he came to us from TCU, and just know what we've heard, has a background of being a good player, and we'll see where it goes from there. Those guys, until they, on paper, they look the part and do all the things right. We'll wait and see how it goes. But, and there's, you guys have been at this level anymore. There's always an opportunity for somebody else to show up. So there may be some guys here tomorrow that we are working